Hey guys, welcome to Productivity Mastermind. And today we're going to be talking about quarter three goals in 2020. Now, it's almost finished our end of second quarter in 2020. And I think it's important to prepare for upcoming quarter. So what I'm going to be doing today, I'm going to be sharing exactly what my plan is for quarter three, how I have broken everything down. And I'm also going to be sharing my screen so you can see actually how I manage my kind of a weekly layout, how I block out my weeks. So it's, so that you can see, how I phase out my, my productivity and how I'm making sure that I'm going to be actually achieving my goals. So I'll give you a quick overview of what is expected in this live, in case you're not sure what I'm going to be talking about, and then you can decide whether you want to stick around. So first of all, I'm going to be reviewing my quarter two goals. So the things that I've done in quarter two and how it's been going, what's been going good, what's been maybe not going so good, and kind of give you a bit of an insight on how that went, because I did very similar planning before quarter two, same like we're going to be now doing for the quarter three, so I can make some adjustments or improve things. Then I want to talk about cycling my productivity. So there are two ways how you can really approach productivity. You can kind of try to keep yourself at as high as possible and then just maintain it, or you can cycle it up and down. And I'm going to talk how I cycle my productivity every 2 weeks and how it's been working for me. So I'm going to share some kind of an insight how that works with me. Then I also want to share about a little bit about my monk weekends. So that is also part of cycling the productivity, but I'll show you the insights of how I plan actually the weekly or daily breakdown or hourly breakdown, how I'm actually planning to achieve my quarter three goals. And then finally, I'm going to be talking about a little bit about effort-based goals, because I think it's really, really important, something that should be really trendy, coming trendy, because I really, really believe by my previous experience that, I've recently done, that it's really, really effective. And I would suggest everybody to really stick with, effort-based goals rather than, target-oriented or other type of the goals. So also, if you have any questions during the session, feel free to drop them in a comments box, and I'll make sure I get back to it. If you're watching the replay, same thing, comment below, and I always get back to all the comments. Right. So with that being said, let's share the screen and dive into the first bulletin, and that is reviewing my quarter two goals. So I'm going to be sharing my screen now. So hopefully everybody can see that. And we're going to start with my quarter two. So we're going to start with reviewing my quarter two goals. So my main focus was content. So that was my main focus in quarter two. And the goal was to create 150 videos, micro videos on YouTube. So that was a general goal. And then I broke it down into smaller kind of projects, so it's kind of easily, more easily approachable. So what I did was phase one of achieving my goal was really to develop the structure for content creation, because me and my team was used to posting 4 videos per week. So that's what everybody was doing. The people who schedule the content, the animators, video animators, thumbnail person, graphics person. So everybody had their responsibilities. And as we scaled up content production, obviously they had to adapt to the changing environment, and I had to develop the infrastructure to actually handle it as well and document it all. So that went very well. We did some trial and error, so it wasn't like I just set it up out of the get-go. I did a draft, I came up with the structure, and then I put it in the practice. And then I realized that the following cycle, or after 2 weeks, I realized that I need to update some documentation and improve. So it was a bit of a trial and error, and eventually it went really smoothly, and worked out very well. So that was a first phase, kind of a focus phase that needed to be accomplished. And then obviously the project 2 was to script 150 micro videos, and project 3 I separated out voice 150 micro videos. Now, you can see that there is another number which says 250. That's the actual achievement, how many videos or pieces of content I managed to create. So you can see that I've exceeded that goal by quite a lot, almost, I wouldn't say doubling it, but exceeding by 60%, which is, I think, a great thing. And again, it didn't happen like, oh, I just started to do it and everything went better than expected. I started with, as I planned, I supposed to produce 25 pieces of videos or content over one of the monk weekends. And I did that for first 2 weekends, and I realized that I can actually push myself further. So I did it, but I did it in quite relaxed way. I was like, yeah, I can easily do that. So I started to challenge myself and I pushed myself further. So I said, okay, next weekend I'm gonna add another day. I'm gonna produce content another day, and I'm gonna try to produce 40 pieces of content. And I did that, and I also did that very successfully. And then I thought, can I go more? Can I do more? And I added another day to my monk weekend. So how I started and how I ended up was quite different. And eventually I ended up being able to produce 50 pieces of content in one monk weekend. So as you can see, it scaled from 25 originally planned to double amount of 50 per monk weekend. And that's why the goal has been exceeded. So I've produced 250 pieces of content, which I'm really happy with. And yeah, so it works. I can definitely produce more than I planned. And now my emphasis or focus is on improving the quality of the videos. So that's what I'm kind of strategizing. How can I come up with the best piece of content? For example, if I find a topic about habits or goals, how can I make the best explainer video on that specific topic? And thinking about a structure of the video, about the message of the video, and everything how it fits together. And project 4 was kind of a secondary goal. So the project was to finish the blog and post one new article every day. So we have finished the blog to the state where I'm happy to publish the content. So we've been publishing content for about a couple of weeks now, 2.5 weeks. So I'm happy with how it is. There are some improvements, but I don't want to be held back by little tiny tweaks or some additional features that we need to add, because obviously that doesn't change anything. As long as I can post the content and it looks good, I'm happy. And this is something that is holding a lot of people back. I actually have quite a few people. I've been reaching out to people who sign up on my newsletter or email list, and I'm always reaching out and asking if I can help in a certain way. And quite a few people are struggling with being quite a lot of perfectionists. So they want everything to be perfect. And that is really holding them back. They can't start or they can't finish the task because nothing's ever good enough. And I had the same issue at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey. And I know how it can be like holding you back. And the best advice that I can give, and I usually share, is anything that you create today is going to be changed anyway. So it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. Just finish it and start to work on the next thing. Don't start to write a book and then halfway through decide, oh, I want to write different thing. Just finish what you got, publish it, and then go do next thing. So that's very, very important. And the only thing, obviously, I marked the goal as completed. The only thing that we've been changing, I said post one new article every day. So we changed the schedule a little bit. We decided to post 5 days a week instead of 7 days a week. And there are, kind of internal restrictions to do that. I'm planning to scale up, but I'm still happy with it. So I didn't bother to postpone it or whatever. It's just going as it is going at the moment. So as you can see, Q2 goals, I'm really happy with how everything went. And like I said, later on, I'll be talking about effort-based goals, and then I'll be coming back to this slide and we're going to be looking into that again. So that pretty much concludes my first topic of today, bullet point that I wanted to cover. So let's move on to the next one. Right. So yes, the plan of Q3. So this is the topic of the video, right? The planning the Q3 and how I'm going to do that. Now, So these are my goals, or the goal of the third quarter of this year, of 2020 year. And I have planned to again focus on content production. And before I set goals, I want to take you all back a little bit and just explain, where do those goals come from? Like, why do I decide to work on content? Like, why, right? So I need to go back and we need to look at my vision. So this is my vision. You can call it vision statement or just a vision. So this is how I imagine or picture myself or my business at the end of the year. So I have 4 components of my business. I've got a team. The team is producing content. I've got content that gets distributed through 2 index platforms. Then I've got a funnel that captures the leads and obviously leads them into the coaching group. And then I also have a product. Now, if you look at this, this kind of a funnel or the process, then you can see that at the very top there is a content production. So I choose to focus on the content because that's like a first step. That's how I can increase my digital footprint, and this is how I can reach most of the people. So that's my focus is so much on the content, and my goals come out of this particular vision, how I have imagined to see myself or my business at the end of the 2020. So that's where the goals come from. And if you look at the goals, let's go back to the goal slide. So create 300 micro videos on YouTube. So as you already saw, I have produced 250 pieces of content. So I want to push further, and I want to produce 300 pieces of content. Now, I know I can do that. I feel pretty confident I can do that because over the last, I think, 3 monk weekends, I've been producing these 50 pieces of content. Now, things can change. And of course, I've been, sifting through the easiest topics at the top of the list. So as the list goes down, and the list is about 620 topics. Of course, there are some things that I need to do more research, that I need to do more digging, so I can explain the concepts properly. So, but I'm still confident that I can do that. That's why I'm aiming for 300 micro pieces of content. So project 1 is script 300 videos. Project 2, voice 300 videos. And then the project 3 is to post 65 blog posts per quarter. So that's upcoming quarter. That's 13 weeks. As I said, our current posting schedule is 5 blog posts per week, and that's what that's what I'm planning to stick with for the time being. If the things go very well, we might scale up to the 7 posts per week, but that's how it looks at the moment. So with that being said, obviously these are the goals, but I also want to dig deeper. I don't just want to show you my goals and say, hey, this is how I plan my quarter, because just by me putting these things down doesn't mean that they're going to happen. I actually have to put them into my schedule, right? So how do I do that? And in order to represent it, of course, it all goes into my time blocking in my Google Calendar. But I've created a spreadsheet where that can be very well seen. So I have this spreadsheet, and we're going to go to the first slide. So this is generally all the quarters of the 2020 weekly breakdown. So you can see quarter 1, then it's quarter 2. As you can see, we are on the last week. This is week 26 of this year. And it's the last week of the quarter. So we still got 6 days left. So if you have some goals that you haven't achieved, you got 6 days left. You can still make it, right? Right. And then there's quarter 3 and quarter 4. So of course, I also have a breakdown of every single quarter. So this is quarter 2. This is what we just discussed. And then this is quarter 3. Now, you can see that the quarter 3 is going to last from week 27 of this year to week 39. Again, there are 13 weeks in this quarter, and you can see how I've laid out a different activities, and all of these activities are my monk weekends. So I will start in the first week as a monk weekend. So I'm going to be creating content, and then having one off week. I'm going to talk about cycling just in a minute, why I do 1 week on, 1 week off, and how it helps me. And then in total, I've got 7 of these monk weekends. Now, if I really wanted to push myself, I could potentially aim to produce 350 pieces of content. Now, I don't think that's necessary because I'm keeping a little buffer. If something changes, now I'm not planning to not produce content in case the opportunity is there. But it's always the best to aim for reasonable, achievable goals, and you can always exceed those things. So people who tend to like block out every minute of their day, as soon as something falls apart, yeah, they are behind the schedule, and that's the position I don't want to fall into. So I keep a little buffer, and I hope things go according to plan, and I can exceed my goal again. But generally, I'm aiming for 300 pieces of content. So this gives me a good overview. Of how I'm going to be strategizing and planning out my content production. So preparation week, catch up week, and then it cycles every 2 weeks. Now, to dig even deeper into how I'm going to put together all this content and everything, I have a weekly breakdown, or daily breakdown, or hourly breakdown, as whatever we want to call it. So here you can see that I've got obviously I start my monk weekend on Wednesdays, and then I finish it on following Monday, right? So I start on Wednesday. I work for about 7 hours. I do have my snack breaks and lunch breaks, but I don't particularly break them out. So I just have in approximately the same time. So I produce 7 pieces of content, or 7 scripts. Then I have my gym session, and then I finish off with another 3 scripts. And then at the end of the day, because it's a little bit easier for me to record than to script, I try to do the hardest thing first in the morning, and then easier thing in afternoon. And also, it's actually not possible to do it other way around because I can't voice anything unless it's written. So it works hand to hand. Right, and the schedule stays the same for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The schedule changes over the weekends. So basically on Saturdays, you can see that I script for 6 hours. I create 6 pieces of content, and then I do my voice recordings. Now, Saturday and Sunday, I take it a bit easier because I'm doing lives on Sundays. Usually it's either on Facebook or on YouTube, depending what type of the content I'm sharing. And then Sundays as well, pretty much the same schedule. From 6 till 12, I produce scripts, and then I voice them afterwards. And then on Monday, I finish off with 8 pieces of content. So it's also a little bit shorter day, but it's also last day of the monk weekend. So as I start my monk week, I have most of my energy and willpower, and then it slowly deteriorates. That's why I said I'm cycling my productivity. And like I said, we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, this is basically the breakdown of the days and times of how I am able to produce 50, total of 50 scripts and total of 50 voices over the 1 monk weekend. And obviously the reason why I'm sharing this is because from the outset, it might be like, oh, you just write something in your journal and then you hope that, hey, I'm going to achieve those goals. But actually, there is a precise calculation that I, kind of put together and then go through in order to actually execute all these actions and achieve those goals. So this is kind of a back end work that's being put into the place. Now I don't always do the spreadsheets, but this is really good for me to kind of share with you guys to see how it actually works. So that's about monk weekends. Right. The next thing that I wanted to discuss is how I cycle my productivity. And for that, I have another slide or another tab, and you can see it here. So I've got 2 types of the weeks. I've got preparation week and I've got a catch-up week. Now, as I already explained, there are 2 ways how you can maintain your productivity. So if you imagine a runner, the runner can either run at a certain pace and keep the pace the same all the way through, or you can increase the pace, max out, and then recover, and then again max out. So you can kind of pace yourself. And I've been for a long time. I've been trying to, to stay on the maximum, like maximum performance for as long as possible. So my productivity would be here, and then I just try to maintain it. Now, the problem that I find with this approach is that it quickly becomes very monotonous and kind of, maybe not boring, wouldn't be the right word, but yeah, it just gets stagnant because nothing is changing. So therefore, you don't feel that, sprint and release is just like constant push. Yeah. And I find that after a couple of months of doing that, it just, starts to get at you, right? You want change. Your brain wants to do something different, right? Especially if your activities are very, very similar. Like for me, it's, creating a lot of content. Now I do other things as well. I need to review content. I need to, do my emails, I need to work with the clients. But that's contributes for the smaller portion of the time that I spend. I cook my meals, I go for runs, I train. So all those things are still happening, but still, majority of the time, I'm producing content. So that's why it's important to, that's why I find very productive way of cycling this productivity. So 1 week my productivity peaks out, and then I keep it at the peak, and then I let it drop down, and then again I pick up. And I find that it's more fun for myself, for my brain, and how I perceive it. And yeah, it's just been really productive. I really have been doing that since beginning of this year, so it's been 6 months, and it's proven to be really, really productive. So let's go through my 2 week cycle. So I do my weekly planning, or I can't say weekly planning because I'm planning 2 weeks. So I do my 2 weekly planning every 2 weeks. When I sit down, I do plan out 2 weeks ahead. And if you want to see how I do that, you can check my previous live episode where you're going to be able to see that. Right. So let's take a look. So preparation week. So preparation week is when I have to really clear my plate. That's how I look at it. So before I go into my content production, I need to make sure that the clients are taken care of, the team is taken care of, there is no pending emails or another request that need to be dealt with. I want to make sure that everything is done. So that gives me like a little boost to be like, okay, what needs to be done? I need to make sure that I reply on all the messages on my WhatsApp and my emails, just so I can, I can purely focus on the content production. So that's why I have a buffer on Monday before I go into the content production and the Monk weekend. Now, the difference between content and Monk weekend, it's very similar. During the content day, so you'll see that Tuesday and Thursday on the catch-up week, I have content production, and then I've got this long Monk weekend. Now, during the Monk weekend, I'm creating these little pieces of videos. There's 2-minute videos, and they are like explainers of the specific pieces of content or specific concepts. Now, when I produce content, like on Tuesday, those are the big videos that usually last between 7 to 8 minutes, and obviously those those scripts are about 1,200 words each. So I usually produce 2 of those during my content days. But let's start with the Monday. So Monday is when I try to clear everything out. So if I need to have any quick catch-ups with the team, I would do that. If I need to send some final emails to my clients, I would do that on Monday, because I don't want to think about anything when I'm producing content, because that distracts me. I want to be able to do some deep work without distractions and without anybody bothering me. Now, of course, exceptions happen, and sometimes there are urgencies that need to be addressed. But for the most part, I try to keep it at the level where I'm going to come back to it when I finish my content production. So once the Monday is gone, I go into the Tuesday, I do my content. So I write 2 scripts of the big videos, I do 2 voiceovers, and I write 2 descriptions. So that all happens on Tuesday. And then I go into my Monk weekend. So Wednesday through Sunday and even Monday is Monk weekend. So this is what we talked about. This is when I create these little pieces of content for my YouTube channel. Once the Monk weekend is finished, there's no rest. I go straight into more content production. Again, producing 2 videos, so recording 2 voiceovers, and writing 2 descriptions. Wednesday is for community engagement. So this is when I plan out this is when I send out my weekly emails. When I prepare for my live episodes. For example, this spreadsheet was purposefully created for this live live video, so that I can share the things and help you guys to visualize what steps I go through to plan my quarterly goals and how I have laid everything out. Comes Thursday, and also on Wednesdays, obviously that activity usually doesn't take me all day, though I haven't been doing 2 of them per day, so that might be quite long. But that's when I also start to kind of catch up with some stuff. If there were some, because if you look at it from Tuesday till Tuesday, I was creating content. So if I've been sticking with what I say, then there were 8 days I didn't do anything else apart of content production. That means there are, team queries, emails, client queries, a lot of different things. So on Wednesday, I would try to address some urgent ones, something big, yeah. So then on Thursday, on Wednesday, I would address some of these urgent queries. Then on Thursday, I do another content production day, and that pretty much finishes the content and gives me 4 days off. Now on Friday, I start to do admin work and content review processing, because since I started to produce these huge amounts of the content, I've also needed to increase the amount of time that I invest actually reviewing content. So every video that is being created by animator, or every voice that is being created, I need to review and make sure that I'm happy with the quality, with how it's represented, and how it all sits together. So that's been taking a bit of my time as well. On Saturdays, those are my strategic planning days, as well as some more admin work. So this is when I plan my keywords. I would also do stuff like going for the shopping, doing my weekly shopping, and that kind of stuff. So that's what I do on Saturdays. And then Sundays are complete buffer. Now, buffer is usually filled up with some activities. It's not like, hey, I can just relax. Although on Sundays, I try to have a half day off. So anything between 1 p.m. till the evening, I try to have a time off just to switch off from everything and just to rejuvenate myself. But sometimes I still find myself in, digging some emails or, brainstorming some new ideas. But that's generally how my 2-week cycle works. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, like I said, this is maybe not so traditional approach to try to improve your productivity. But as I said, sometimes it's good that you're really dedicated to deep work and you don't want to be distracted. And then the next week for a couple of days, so let's say Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and Monday, I can be more in a mode where I'm in kind of a shallow work, where I can have my notifications on, and if somebody sends me a message, I can pick it up, instantly reply, maybe have a conversation, and then go back to the task, because those are not so mentally demanding activities. So that's how I like to do that, and it also gives my brain a bit of a relaxation from all the deep work and mental work that I've been doing across previous 9 or 10 days. So that's about that. That's pretty much about this. So what do we need? The last thing that I wanted to cover today was effort-based goals. So let's go back to here. Let's switch off this one. Right, guys. So the last thing that I wanted to cover is effort-based goals. Now, after watching this video, you might be like, okay, I need to set goals for my Q3. And I always say set quarterly goals. And this is what I've also started to do after reading a book about why you should plan for quarters rather than years. Because what happens is when you plan for a year, you feel that you need to do more. So you want to set yourself for 3 to 4 goals, yeah. And then you don't have to rush at the beginning because you got so much time. Whereas what happens is if you actually don't do anything, then you're literally wasting maybe first couple of months of your year, and then you slowly start to get on something. You work on one thing, then on other, then on third, and then on fourth. And comes end of the year, and then you start to suddenly feel like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to complete it all. So suddenly you're rushing around, and now you're saying, oh, this is not going to be possible. It's not even reasonable, and I shouldn't have planned that way. But the problem is that a lot of people don't utilize their time effectively. They waste a bit of a time at the beginning and then in the middle, and then they are, kind of overwhelmed at the end of the year. So better approach is to plan quarterly goals. So let's take, for an example, you still have your 4 goals. So why not allocate 1 quarter for 1 goal, right? And then you can put all the emphasis and effort into that 1 goal. And what it does is suddenly when you set a quarterly goal, you don't have a 12-month or 365 days or 52 weeks to work towards. Now you only have 13 weeks. You got 13 weeks to get it completed, right? So that gives you instant urgency to be like, okay, it's beginning of the January, let's say it's 2nd week, you need to crack on, because that goal is not going to be waiting for you. You need to work towards it so you can achieve it. So that's why I'm suggesting to create quarterly goals, and that's why I also set quarterly goals for myself. Sure, I have a vision that I see by end of the year, but I don't, there's nothing attached to that. There's goals that I need to work towards this quarter, this week, or today, and that's going to, help me to move forward. Now, the second thing is about effort-based goals. Now, I wanted to share and my goals just to emphasize the point. So let's go back to my goals, my quarterly goals, so I can explain better. So as you can see in these, in these projects 1, 2, 3, and even in the general goal. So the goal is to create 300 pieces of content and voice them, and also post 65 blog posts. Now, all these goals are effort-based goals, and that means that if you put in effort, you can directly achieve them because you influence them, right? Now, let's take a scenario where I wasn't setting effort-based goals, where I would go for a results-driven strategy. I just need results-driven goals. So my goals would look completely different. So I could say my goal is to get 10,000 subscribers, right? My goal is to get 100,000 views per quarter or per month. Yeah. My goal is to get certain amount of leads, right? But the thing is, if you think about it, just setting goals like that doesn't aid or help you to achieve them. Yes, those are the things that I also want to achieve, for my channel, increasing the views, increasing subscribers. Those are important metrics, but I don't directly influence them. So what happens is when you set these goals that are not effort based but result driven goals, you can't directly influence them, and therefore you become kind of a dismotivated. So for an instance, or you might have also a coaching business, and you say, hey, in next quarter I'm gonna get let's say 7 new clients. That's your goal, to get 7 new clients. Now the question is, how do you actually get clients? Do you not care about the actual execution steps? How are you going to get there? Because that goal is not going to help you to achieve that goal itself. And instead, what you could do, you could say, well, I need to send out X amount of applications. So if you know that if you're on a platform, if you're using a freelancing platform, so you could say, I need to apply for X amount of clients in order for you to get those numbers. So it could be apply to 70 job posts, and then you could turn those 70 job posts into 7 clients that you want to land. Because what is happening, if I'm aiming for my 10,000 subscribers, right, in the next quarter, and then a couple of weeks go by, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? Do I look for the secret strategy? Do I do something else? It's not very clear about what you're going to be doing in order to achieve your goals. But when you set effort-based goals, the result always going to follow effort. Once you put in more effort, you're going to have more results. So that's why effort goals, at least for me, seem to be working better. And I'm also not getting disencouraged. Because when you have to start to do something that is outside your control, you can't do anything, right? You can just wander around. Because let's say my goal was to get these 10,000 subscribers, yeah, to the channel, and the time came. I can break it down into 13 weeks. So I need 150 per week. But what happens if I don't hit that goal, right? What happens if I don't hit that goal? I don't have any actions that I can take in order to push that number forward, right? And that this motivates a lot of people. If you wanted to get coaching clients to your business and your goal was to get 10 in the next quarter, what if the halfway is through? What if the 7-8 weeks are gone and you only got 2, right? You need 10, but you only got 2, and 7 weeks are gone. What do? You get dismotivated, right? Because you can't accomplish that. But if your goal was to apply for these 70 job posts, then you can break it down and say, okay, every week I need to apply for 5, right? And then you can keep doing that until the last week, right? Rather than going halfway through feeling like, okay, this doesn't work, I need to look for something else, or I'm completely giving up, and nothing is happening. So that's why effort-based goals are really, really important. Now, this is something that I've been willing to share for a long time, and I still haven't created a content video about effort-based goals, but I'll definitely do that in the near future. I'll have put it as one of the content topics in the future, so I'll definitely create a piece of content as well. So with that being said, that's pretty much that I wanted to cover today. Let's stop the sharing. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I said, if you have any questions, if you're watching the replay, feel free to drop them in the comments below. And I hope you guys gonna set a good quarterly goals for the upcoming quarter, and then I'll try to keep you guys accountable. So I'm hoping that in 3 months' time, I can do another live and share how I have achieved my goals, and hopefully somebody is going to be going, hey, I've achieved my goals as well. So with that being said, I hope you guys stay productive and have a great weekend. Bye.